welcome back to my channel. Today we're back to continue with a read aloud, read along of Maya Angelou's second memoir, Gathered Together in My Name. We've been away from this book for a little while, but we're back to pick up with chapter 20, which in this edition of the book starts on page 112. Last we were at Maya Angelou preparing to go into the army, so let's pick up at chapter 20. If you have a copy of the book, I invite you to read along with me, otherwise you can just listen to me read chapter 20. I had to make arrangements for my personal belongings. I told Mother that when I got out of the army, I would dress in suits, and my cashmere sweater sets would match kid-pleated Scotch plaid skirts. I wouldn't be needing the old clothes. Mother had decided they were good enough to be given to charity. I remember the large St. Vincent de Paul's trucks backing down our driveway once a year during my teens, collecting Mother's unwanted items. After a brief but pointed sermon when Mother spoke of those less fortunate than you, I chose the Salvation Army as my beneficiary. Those fresh, clean faces in their absurd regalia, playing their uninspired music, unheeded, had always depressed me. They had to be the most deserving. The records would stay in the house. Mother enjoyed Lester Young, Billie Holiday, Louis Jordan, Buddy Johnson, and Arthur Big Boy Crudup as much as I. She'd play them at her parties and think of me. I found it hard to think of leaving my books. They had been my elevators out of the midden, and to whom could I entrust such close friends? The benevolent act of giving away my clothes, however, spilled over into that decision-making. Hospitals were the answer. I was certain that lean and lonely tubercular patients would have their spirits lifted reading the topper stories of Thorne Smith, and I had proved it possible to read Robert Benchley's essays and short stories over 100 times and still laugh. Anne Petries, The Street, all Thomas Wolfe, Richard Wright, and Hemingway would be given to an old folks' home. But the Russian writers would be packed away in mothballs and stored in our basement. I would savor the idea of Dostoevsky's, Tolstoy's, and Gorky's volumes molding in the dank cellar, wisps of camphor and odors of wet earth floating above them. I quit my job to spend more time with Guy, to record his cherubic smile and be amazed at the beauty of his coordination. He seldom cried, and seemed a budding introvert. For although he never thrust himself from company, he appeared to be equally amused alone. A baby's love for his mother is probably the sweetest emotion we can savor. When my son heard my voice at the downstairs door, he'd begin to sing, and when I arrived in his view, he'd fall back on his fat legs, his behind would thud to the floor, and he'd laugh, his big head rocking up and down. I knew it would be hard to leave him. Hard on me, but harder on him, for he had no way of understanding that I was gone to prepare a place for us. I hugged his sweetness to me and squeezed my love into his pores. If we were to have a decent life, a small but neat house, good neighborhood and schools, bulky knit sweaters, and the expensive tennis shoes I saw large boys wearing, I'd have to get some kind of training, and I needed help. Uncle Sam was going to be more a friend to me than any of my bad blood uncles. With my clothes gone to the Salvation Army and my books packed in wooden boxes downstairs, I spent my remaining time gazing at the training manual and familiarizing myself with creases and salutes and drill formations, how a bunk should be made, and how officers were to be addressed. A week before I was to be inducted, a military voice over the telephone ordered me down to the recruitment center. I can come this morning or this afternoon. This morning, and that's an order, soldier. It sounds urgent. Maybe our departure date had been moved up. It's more urgent than that. It's about some discrepancy on your documents. We'll see you this morning. Click. Damn it, and double damn. Probably some ruthless, relentless doctor had re-examined my charts and found that I'd had a baby. And I had sworn that everything I had written was God's own truth. There were laws to punish criminals who'd lied. Perjury, it was called. On oath. And it must have been worse to lie on oath and the flag. Mother had taken Guy out for the morning to leave me alone with my army books. I had no one to accompany me. I dressed as I wondered. I shook as I planned. It was pretty certain I wasn't going into the army, but I might go to jail if the army wanted to press charges. I should have known better than to lie to the government. People always said Uncle Sam would spend $1,000 to get you if you stole a 3-cent stamp from him. He was more revengeful than God. I couldn't run, I couldn't hide. I went to the government building. On the bus, I soft-conned myself. I had done so well in the examinations that if I came clean and explained that I had made solid arrangements for my son's care for 2 years, they might make an exception. It could be simple, if only I got a kind interviewer. I could stop shaking. Margarita Johnson? The woman's long, thin neck rose out of wide, sloping shoulders, and her voice skidded like a fire alarm. I would have liked her face softer. Yes, yes, ma'am. She was an officer. Oh, hell, yes, sir. Did you or did you not sign the loyalty oath? I did. Did I? I had gone down a few weeks before and sworn to uphold the flag, defend the country, and protect my fellow Americans with my life if need be. I had been so moved by my sincerity that I added to myself, my country, may she always be right, but right or wrong, my country. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, and the caissons go rolling along. Were you or were you not asked if you had ever been a member of the Communist Party? I was asked, and I said no. Well, if that was all it was. I felt the blood pushing to open up its old passages and start to flow again. You lied, Johnson. The voice sirened up to a screech. Lied, sir? No, sir, I've never... This is your signature, Johnson. She produced the loyalty oath by sleight of hand. I didn't need to peer to see the large, curving Margarita Johnson. Yes, sir, that's my signature. She flipped the paper over and grinned her pleasure. The California Labor School is on the House Un-American Activities list, Johnson. Do you know why? No, sir, I only studied dance and drama there. Oh, come on, don't be stupid. It's a communist organization and you know it. Maybe so, but I have never been a member. You went to the school for 2 years. She had regained her composure, her stiffness. But that was when I was 14 and 15. I had just come from the South, and a playground teacher got me a scholarship. It was because I had trouble talking. Communists are ungodly, Johnson, and this man's army fights under God. I felt as if I were drowning in straw. The light was still visible, but no amount of struggling brought me nearer to it. Because you are young, and I hope you're still innocent, the army is not going to bring charges of falsification against you, but we definitely cannot risk you as a soldier in our army, Johnson. Dismissed. I was suspended, physically and mentally, for a second. Dismissed. I know I'd have made a good soldier because without the benefit of habit or training, my body turned sharply and walked out into the sunshine. Mother and the baby were still out when I returned to the big house. Papa Ford was away on his noonday constitutional. The rooms were all dark and cool. I sat at the ornate dining room table and tried to sort things out. My clothes were gone, I had no job, and I had been rejected by the army. That damn institution, which accepts everybody to tell from its soldiers, had turned me down. My life had no center, no purpose. I had to admit, though, that I had lied. Not on the issue they charged against me. Hell, I would never recognize Stalin if he'd been in my class when I was 14. Literally all white folks still look alike to me, pale and similar, but I had lied about Guy's birth. I wondered if justice was served, if maybe I should just shut up and take my punishment. I needed Bailey. I longed for the old days when I could speak to him and work out my problems. I got up from the table and opened the door to his room. It had a strange emptiness. Not as if the occupant had just stepped out and was expected back, but as if it had never been occupied and expected nothing. There was a deadness in the air. I turned on the overhead light, went to the windows, and pulled up the shades. The gray spring light dared only to enter a yard or so. I decided to change his linen, clean up, and put fresh flowers in his room. Meanwhile, I would think over my problem. I stripped the blankets and folded them, then I tugged at the linen. For a moment, I was so amazed I forgot my whereabouts. This couldn't be Bailey's bed. He was the model of cleanliness, neatness, decorum. Every member of my family had said at one time or other, Maya should have been a boy and Bailey a girl. She's so sloppy and he's so neat, and more to that effect. The sheets were gray and black with dirt. of perfumed hair oil and must lifted heavily. I tugged at the edges and let the sheets slide to the floor. The pillows rolled along on the end of the sheet. As they tumbled, a small round bundle wrapped in brown paper bounced down at my feet. I opened it without needing to. Thin brown cigarettes were held together with 3 rubber bands. Even in his absence, Bailey had helped me. I lighted one of the cigarettes and in minutes was snickering over the stupidity of the establishment. The U.S. Army, with its corps of spies, had been fooled by a half-educated black girl. I sat down on Bailey's bed and laughed until I had to fight for my breath. That's the end of chapter 20. We'll be back next time to continue with chapter 21. I'd love to chat with you in the comments down below. Let me know how you're enjoying this reading, and we'll be back next time. Until then, happy reading. Bye.